Hello, everyone. This is Robb Fahrion with the Sage Executive Podcast, where top executives and business leaders share their sage advice. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the wise speak in few words. So let's get right into it. In a few sentences, would you mind telling me who you are and what it is you do?
Thank you, Rob. I'm Fara Gold McLaughlin, or Fara Miller Gold McLaughlin. Recently got married over the last 5 years. So my
Congratulations.
senior mom, I'm in the seniors business. I've been in healthcare and ancillary services for almost 40 years. I'm a
Wow.
grandma. I'll be 60 next year. I come from Texas Christian University, where I was a human development specialist by training and did not go on and finish my master's or PhD, but took a journey in healthcare. And that took me down specialty healthcare services, and then the last 20 years in senior living.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you for that introduction. Obviously, we're thrilled to have you on this show. Farrah, what would you say is the best thing about being a business leader and being a part of business?
Well, I would say for the senior living industry, and this is a shout out to anyone that's listening, it is a booming business. I'm getting older as we speak. As we know, globally, folks over 65 will make up a quarter of the population of the entire globe.
Right.
So over the next 50 years, the need for seasoned leadership, and I don't have an MBA. I was organically trained by HCA, Healthcare Corporation of America, National Medical Enterprises, and went on to join Sunrise Senior Living founders Paul and Terry Clausen to launch my seniors housing career in 2003. And so the best opportunity for me in business is to continue to keep learning.
I love that. I'm with you there too. I'm not an MBA, but yeah, I'm always the get your hands dirty type, right? And learn by mistakes and all those things. So that's great advice. Perfect. Okay, moving on to question 3. So we hear a lot of times from others in business and executives that acquiring new business and growing business is very tough because there's so much competition and so much noise. So I'm just curious, what kind of your strategy is in terms of developing new business and growing new businesses?
Oh, I love that question, Rob. I mean, it's a great question. And I was seasoned, really baptized in the acquisition by Sunrise Senior Living of Marriott Senior Living. And I was one of the only regions out of the West Coast in San Francisco that successfully grew year over year revenue beyond 17%. And so we went, I want to say $62 million to $74 million year over year for my portfolio.
Wow.
And when people ask me this question, it's not about the transaction. So if you hear me talk, it's all about the people. And there was a key incident that occurred where in that integration, we missed the first payroll. Now, we only missed it by 12 hours, but when you're a caregiver that's at the level where you're paycheck to paycheck, it meant everything. And I was able to kind of ask for permission, but more forgiveness, and cut checks on site. And that bought a lot of trust and credibility. So when I think about acquisition and development, if you're a leader, you need to be not in your home office. You've got to be in the field. You have to be shoulder to shoulder, belly to belly with the very folks that are delivering the service to the customer and actually right there serving them. So often I would be considered a general that was most other generals on the Hill. And I like to use military analogies. My father passed away as a colonel in the Air Force. So I was sort of baptized in my life about service. What does it mean? Well, my father embodied what it meant, even at the end of his life when he died as a colonel, in the field. So while I am today a strategist, and it's hard for me if I can't be in the field because I want to be shoulder to shoulder, at the end of the day, leadership is really about being with your team, who's your customer. They're paying your salary in leadership.
I love that. Yeah, being down on the front lines and I think you get a good pulse too, right? Of how people are feeling, what's working, what's not working. That's awesome. So to kind of piggyback on that, and question number 4, if you had one piece of sage advice that you would like to give to other business leaders, what would that advice be?
Thank you. It's a great question as I enter my 60th year. My mentor almost 20 years ago, actually, she was a mentor in my early career as well in hospitals. Listen, listen, listen. In order to really listen, though, I do take the Stephen Covey approach. I need to ask versus tell.
Right.
So if I could be my younger self when I thought I knew a lot or I thought I was smart, I wish that I had asked more. And I do believe people would still say Fara is Socratic. Fara asks a
Sure.
lot of questions. Sometimes when we ask questions, people think, gosh, is that Columbo? Is she a private detective? And I'm really, when I use the Covey approach, ask versus tell, I take the second, listen to learn. If I'm listening to be surprised, my coach out of Indianapolis, way back in 2005, I hired my own servant leader Covey coach that said, stop listening to understand, but listen to be surprised with your heart. So
Mm.
even today, I'm with you, Rob, and we're having an experience. So I want to listen to really be surprised. So I would say that to me, by reminding myself, getting back to the center of listening in my own life, career, practicing with my family, my children, my grandchildren, then I can stay in wonderment and surprise and say, oh, really? Tell me more. Oh, really? Tell me more. Tell me
Right.
more till someone else on the other side of the ask has exhausted whatever it is, right? And usually, especially if people are trying to sell something, they jump into features
Yep.
versus spending all of that time asking someone, tell me more about your problem.
Right.
Tell me more about your need.
Right.
And so again, tell me more.
Yep. No, I completely agree. Yeah, we find that where that initial conversation is question, 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 right? To where we start
Yes.
to uncover those layers and identify sometimes the problem that they think they have is not the actual problem, right? To where you start to discover that over time.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
great advice. So thank you for that. Fifth question now. So, what other business leaders like yourself would you like to acknowledge as other leaders, either in your space or another space that you think would be a great guest for our podcast to provide more value to our viewers?
Well, certainly a colleague that I've worked with now for almost 10 years. I was a reference for his channel. He has a senior living marketing channel and a daily
Okay.
digital, Steve Moran with
Okay.
Senior Living Foresight. And what I love about him, he started as a blogger. And that blog, as you can imagine, created great value. And he also decided he's not an advertising platform. So I really love that if you're in a niche market, find those channels. So Steve Moran, another advisor that I'm working with today, and as an advisor to Sean DeVore, a nationally recognized healthcare, seniors housing, skilled nursing, executive placement and recruiter. So when
Great.
you think about a business that's aggressively growing, like senior living, workforce is always a challenge, and certainly skilled folks that are nurses and caregivers and leaders
Sure.
that know how to caregive.
Sure.
I would step into a place where I have two incredible tech companies that I advise. Elias, and I'm going to mess up his name, so he's going to be mad at me. I want to say Papadopoulos, but he's going to be mad. He
No
was the
worries.
founder of Elder Life Financial. I just call him Elias, like
There you
Cher.
go.
Most people know him. And now he's got Second Acts Financial. And
Okay.
when you think about what solutions are innovators coming up with to meet existing needs, today more than ever, retired seniors have limited access to capital once they retire, no matter how much money they have in investments.
Right.
So Second Acts. And then I love, again, Shri Shinatal is the founder of a cloud-based only HIPAA compliant storage locker called Clocker. And so
Awesome.
again, being able to, be an advisor to investors, operators, and technology companies that can help solve the problems of seniors, their families, their loved ones, their operators. To me, that's where I get really excited.
Perfect. Those are all great, great guests. We'll have to reach out to them and see if they'd
Thank
love to
you.
be a
I
part
hope
of it. So
so.
yeah, I appreciate you giving us those great names. Okay, to wrap up, last question. You're doing amazing. Fun one here. After a win, and it could be any win, right? Business win, personal win. What do you like to do? Give us a little bit of your personality. What do you like to do to celebrate?
Well, it goes back to my collaboration. I have a great story, and I would add Ken Clare, asset manager for Steadfast Companies. I would love for him to tell this story, but huge win. In the last global recession, Brookdale Senior Living needed us to have a significant net gain in my region. 10,000 residents. We needed a net of significant $1 million in a quarter. And so
Right.
5 regional directors, I gave them the challenge. I said they had to collaborate and they had to have the same win. What was the win? It wasn't money. They wanted to all go to Yankee Stadium. The last season at the old Yankee Stadium.
Oh, wow. I'm a
And
baseball fan, so you're speaking
oh,
to my
you would
heart.
have loved it. And then they said of the 5 regionals for that significant amount of revenue, over $350 million in revenue annually, I was responsible for. In
Wow.
the global economic holocaust, that $42 a share for Brookdale went to $225. I
Wow.
didn't get a bonus, but our staff did. Those 5 regionals hit that goal not in 12 weeks. They hit it in 8 weeks. Then they had to hold it through the end of that Q3. So I
Right.
would say to you, when they asked me, please come with us to the Yankee Stadium game, you know what I said? No, this is your party. This is your chance to celebrate. You're going to do a little bit of business. You're going to do a lot of fun. And they brought me back a Yankees jersey.
There
But
you
it
go.
was about collaborating, sharing. And so for me, it's all about let's have some fun. I don't drink anymore. But it's really about how do I get all the team that got us there? Because really, there's no I for me in this, right? There's no
Right.
I in team. And it's true. So I would say as long as the folks that row my boat, and I'm with them as a coxswain doing the timing, they should have the reward.
There you go. Wow.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that. That's a great story. Yeah. I'm, without baseball right now, I'm a little struggling, but, so yeah, that's a great one. Thank you
I
for
love baseball too.
Well, Farah, thank you so much for being on and just from asking you some of these questions. I know I've learned a lot, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
many other people will as well. Just kind of to shout out, how can people find you, or if they want to get in touch with you, like what would be the best way for them to do so?
As an advisor, I always say go to my website, goldmarkseniors.com. But Fara, F-A-R-A, and I know when most people hear it, they think that's Sarah, but my mother did name me this out of a little book she read as a girl. So F-A-R-A at goldmarksenior, because I'm the senior.com, or
Okay.
503-877-8280. As an advisor, most of my advice is referrals. So
Perfect.
I often identify that I may not be able to meet your needs, but I'm going to connect you to some folks that I think will do even a better job. So as a connector, I love to give referrals as well. So please reach out to me. No question is too big or too small because I will be candid and honest about what I can and can't do.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, we'll be sure to get that information out
Thank
to
you, Rob.
everyone. This is Robb Fahrion with another episode of the Sage Executive Podcast. For more insights and to check out more episodes of our show, visit our website at flyingvgroup.com/podcast. And Farah, thanks so much again for being a
Thank
part of the
you. My
show.
honor. Have a great day.